Next fly is probably, it's probably used worldwide actually, this fly. It's the Griffith Gnat, and it can represent anything from perhaps like a mosquito, a midge, or anything like that. And it can be different sizes as well. This is a partridge dry fly supreme, size 16, so this is one of the smallest. 18 is the smallest hook I'll use, 14 is the biggest I'll use, and I only use dry flies, anybody who knows me. But for this fly, it's the easiest fly to tie. You're going to need some peacock herl, you're going to need some grizzly hackle. There's a nice cock hackle I've got ready here, ready to go. Here you go. It's a bit better to see there, and a little bit of sparkly glister for the tail. I usually put a little whisk on that in the end. So it's a great fly in the evenings, in late spring, in the summer months, in the early autumn or fall. I've even caught grayling on it in December and January, in the margins on rivers around here in North Wales. But I'm going to wax this silk. This is a pearsall. I mean, you're going to use olive again. You can use black, you can use red, doesn't matter what colour you use really, I don't think, it depends. I don't think fish are as picky as some people like to make out. Maybe some of the purists will probably murder me on YouTube or whatever for that. But the first thing I'm going to tie on is a bit of the glister. I'll get some of this glister out. And I only need one little strand really. There we go, that's all I need. And what I do is, my favourite little tricks is put it on my finger, pull it up to the silk, and then up to the shank, and then wrap it round. This doesn't have to be so tidy now because all this is going to be under a lot of hackle and all this, like a palmer style. I'll come up towards the bend. Then I'm going to trim off there, make it even for now, leave that. The next thing I'm going to tie on is going to be the hackle, because that's the last thing that's going to go up the shank. So here's my wonderful grizzly hackle all the way from America. I'm going to wrap that on a couple of times, come back down again, trim off that little bit of store, which doesn't really matter, I'm going to do anyway. And then I need my peacock herl, so I'm going to pick out one random one. People use 2, 3 or whatever. I find that no matter how many you use, you still get a very similar effect, in that you use 2, one of them will crush down the other one, so you still end up with like the effect of 1. So just try and get a nice bushy one. I'm going to try and get a better one than that. That's not a very bushy one. Let's have a look. What's this one like? These are so inexpensive, so you know, use them as much as you wish. There's a better one here now. Here we go. So I'm going to tie that literally halfway up this actual feather because it's a bit rubbish down towards the bottom, and then I'm going to tie it all the way up towards the eye. And the reason is I'm going to tie that in is because it adds a little bit more to the body, a little bit of thickness. It's also more of a floatant for it, because as I say, I only use dry as a dry fly. Up towards the eye, I'll tie that down, trim it off. And as I say, the hackle goes on before the pheasant because it's the last thing to go up the shank. So I'm going to wrap that round now. I'll lick my fingers just so I can grip this a bit better. Careful catching the bar, the hook, because it can actually cut through it. And nice body up towards the eye. It is the simplest fly to tie. Where do you see now? I'll probably end up snapping this after all that. I have to go back and tie in another one. I'm going to stop about there, and then I'm going to tie that over once, twice, 3 times. Sorry about that, little intermission. We've had a dog go out for a walk, he's having a bath now, I've had to let them in. That's life, family life, hey? So I'm going to trim off this bit of peacock curl, and then I'm going to lick my fingers and I'm going to go in the opposite direction with the grizzly hackle. I'm just going to tease it gently through the peacock curl, because if you just wind it, I find if you wind it really quickly, it crushes it down more, and you want a little bit of it to stick out. There we go. And I'll do an extra 1 or 2 turns at the head. There we go. So I'm going to tie that off once, twice, and then that should hold now. Half hitch again. 1, 2, over the eye. One more. I lied. One more. Give it a bit more of a head. And there. Don't pull the silk too much because it snaps really easily, Pearsall. It's lovely stuff, but anyway. And then I'll trim off that stalk. And there is your Griffiths. Here comes the dog after his bath now. I'll trim off those, you don't want them too long. You right, Ernie? Ernie's just had his bath, and then I'm going to do a little bit of varnish on that eye. And you can hear the dog panting. And that is a Griffith Gnat. Just wipe up. Excellent. Sorry about that. How's that?